All right. Of course, want to start off by giving all praise to Yahweh, His Son Yahweh Shai. And I just want to do just a quick video. It's going to be focused around, what is that, Revelation, the 11th chapter, the 14th verse, which reads, the second woe is past, but the third woe comes quick. All right, now what does that mean? And the answer is that the woes, because if you go, I believe, what is that, Revelation 8th chapter, it speaks about 3 woes. Right, now the woes represent the 3 world wars. This is what the woes represent. So in this one, when it says the second woe is past, but the third one comes quick, that's talking about, this next world war, which is what we're seeing right now, the beginning stages, this is coming quick. Now someone's going to say, oh, well, wait a second, how can it come quick? World War II was like 80 years ago, or roughly that. Where you understand that is, what is that, 2 Peter 3:8, says that that one day with the Most High is as 1,000 years. Right, so from the Most High's, perspective, his measurement of time, his time moves different than our times. So if you do the math on it, 1 hour with the Most High would be roughly 42 years, would be an hour with the Lord. So, going by that, since World War II is roughly 80 years ago, give or take a few years, you can do the research on it. But that would mean that it's been roughly, say, an hour and 40 minutes in the Lord's time, from that event up to this current day. So that's what it means by the third one comes quick. Because in God's eyes, it's been less than 2 hours. But on our time, it's been roughly 80 years. Right? So we understand, that the perception of time is different. And it's funny, because you see characters, like if we deal with certain cats like William Bell, Dia, Diana, certain other characters out there, that call themselves preterists, which basically they believe that, pretty much everything happened in 70 AD, the way that Christ already returned in the 1st century is what they believe. And one thing they'll use is they'll go to the verses that say, these things that must shortly, be done. Right, the things that must shortly, take place. Or they'll go to where Christ said, I come quick, right, I come quickly. So they'll use that to say, oh, we'll see. But that proves that Christ must have, returned, in the 1st century, because he said he came quick. And we understand that that's not true. So we understand that their, what's the word I'm looking for? Conception, may I say, or preception, whatever word you like to pronounce it, it's different than ours. As I already proven earlier, right, one day with the Most High is like 1,000 years. Right, so really, in God's time, it's really only been, 2, may I say, it's been 2, excuse me for a second, it's been 2 days, like how we, measure in time, 2 24-hour days. Now in his perception, it's actually, 2 days, which represent, each day would represent 1,000 years. So it's not, too difficult to understand. But, guys as I like to say, right, tap dancing, right, guys, or be tap dancing, around them precepts. Guys be trying to make it, more difficult to understand than a damn, Menino's, escape room. Shout out to anyone that gets that joke. But that's what guys be doing, man. They're trying to make this, these simple concepts, try to make it more complex than the damn, Menino's escape room. It's a damn shame, man. Like, I'll give you an example, right? The Mayan Golf recently made his resurgence, right? He recently made his resurgence, back on the internet now, right? So he's back, well, at least for a little bit, that is. But he's on there. He did a show earlier, which I was meaning to join, but unfortunately I couldn't at the moment. But anyway, I was listening in, these cats called into the show. Like, there was one cat that called in. One character was named, Grace, which I know him. We've had him on before. But there was another guy, I believe his name was Ruby or something, or Rudy. The cat's on there talking about, that God's not behind the conflicts in the world. And talking about all types of BS, I'm going to call it what it is. Bunch of bullshit. These guys are on there talking about. Then he wants to talk about how, oh, well, you can eat pork. You can eat pork now. Ask him, well, why exactly? Like, do you know? Are you just saying that to sound smart? Or do you actually know why you make the statements that you make? You ask him, he's like, oh, well, it doesn't say in the New Testament that you can't, eat pork. So then I bring up, like, well, wait a second, though, but Christ, right here, you call Christ, he taught the laws of the Old Testament. That's what he was teaching, right? Christ was teaching people to obey the laws, and the statutes that you find in the Old Testament, right? So, with that reasoning, how can we conclude that it's now okay to, eat those type of foods if Christ was teaching the laws and that you got to obey the laws of the Old Testament? Because all he's trying to do is make it look like, that the Old Testament is basically done away with, right? Those rules, they don't apply anymore today, which is pure bullshit. Because what about Hebrews 13:8? It says, I, the Lord, is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So I need to know, at what point in history did the Most High change his mind on what is considered to be okay or what's not considered to be okay? Like, they need to prove it, which of course, they can't really do it. Guys are just, as I said, guys are tap dancing around those scriptures like the bottom half of Betty Ripson. My saying likes to go. That's what guys are doing, man. I'll say this saying again. I'll say it again. Guys are taking simple topics in the scriptures and they're making it sound, they're making it very difficult to understand, right? They're making it more difficult to break down simple subjects than a damn, Menino's escape room. You know what I'm saying? Making it so difficult. Like, I'll give an example. We're talking about the UFOs. He brings up, like, oh, well, I see where it says that, God has, the clouds. He makes the clouds his chariot. He brought up, what is that, Psalms 104 and verse 3. Or you can read that. Well, bring that up to say, oh, well, see, it says, makes the clouds his chariot, right? The physical clouds in the sky. There ain't no UFOs in the scriptures. It's like, well, of course you're not going to see the word UFO in scriptures, because that word is a modern, invention. That word didn't exist back then. Because back then people knew what these things were. They knew that these unidentifiable flying objects they see in the sky, they know that those are spiritual crafts, man. Hey, those are the chariots of the Most High. They're so-called UFOs, which is what people call them. All right, and that, that's hard to digest, for a lot of people. But hey, that's just what it is. Hey, Romans 3:3. For what if some did not believe? Does their unbelief make our faith without effect? Of course not. For us, hey, if you don't want to believe, then you don't believe it. That's not going to affect what we believe, though. But yeah, man, it's just, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And you got cats like Primal Man, talking about that we're already, living in Christ's kingdom today. I mean, such nonsense, man. And these cats actually have followers who diligently, believe that, man. No, it's a pure madness. But that just shows you the time that we're in, man. The scripture said that in the last times, there are many false teachers that, will rise in the sea of many. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now, man. But anyway, I think I'll call that the lesson there. I'm going to say shalom.